Hey guys, it's Gary. Bit of an absence lately, and I have no excuse for it because I'm not working. Um, Not even going on interviews. Um, and I've been writing some music, but that's kind of come to a grinding halt. Um, I've just been lazy. What can I tell you? Um, what I thought I would do today is, and actually probably for the future, I'm probably going to do a few short videos, only because I've been absent far too long. And Carm put up a video, meditative LPs that he had yesterday. And I'm like, gee, with all the work Carm's doing, if he can put up, he's kind of matching me right now, one for one with the video. And I have no excuse, and it's like I gotta get something out there. And so what I thought today, which would be a very short one, is I would show you a collection of things no longer being made. I threatened to do a video on empty boxes, and essentially that's what this is, really. When I moved 2.5 years ago, I actually left behind intentionally. I couldn't take everything with me. One of the things I left behind were a collection of about anywhere from 100 to 200 of the CD Longboxes, if you remember what those are, folks. I don't know if anybody misses them. I kind of don't in a way because I found myself having a lot of difficulty throwing them out. And in the end, I didn't throw them out. I just left them in the old house, which got demolished. But my reason for keeping them actually was not because they'd be collectible, but rather I kept them because of the artwork. And what my intention of doing was to someday get like a poster board and cut out the various album covers that I liked from the CD long boxes and just have this one huge poster of all nice album covers. Nothing to do with the music, just the pictures themselves. I think I did it. I had this entire room. It was filled with a couple hundred long boxes, and I ended up throwing them out and leaving them behind. And I ended up keeping about a half a dozen, only because I love the covers so much. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show those to you now. The old CD long boxes. See, no CD inside. So essentially, this is a video on empty boxes. Probably a bunch of you know this. Amber by Michael Jones and David Darling. Really a David Darling album, as it turns out. Michael Jones was apparently under contract to this record label, so it came out under his name. But Michael Jones doesn't even play piano on all the tracks. David Darling plays piano on a couple tracks. And for the most part, it's the David Darling solo album, with Michael Jones playing piano on some of the tracks. Lovely cover. Now, what my intent was doing, and I actually did this for some of these, is I was just going to cut out the actual pictures themselves. You get something like this, that's a really beautiful photo. I would even be tempted to take this small section and stick it on somewhere too. I was going to cut that out, and I think I did that to a bunch of pictures and boxes that I had that I liked, so that instead of taking up all the space, you just have a little stack of thin cardboard things cut out. The problem was the ones that I actually cut out, I lost. I don't know where I put them, and they're gone now. So what I'm going to show you is like the half a dozen or so left of the ones that I have that I love the album covers. And eventually one day I will do that cutout and make that poster, but it's been over 25 years now since I've had some of these boxes. As you know, the boxes were rendered obsolete, or basically a smart move to save waste and paper, because these all got thrown out by folks. I actually have two of these, and I think the reason is I had to return one of the discs, a faulty CD actually, faulty pressing on one of the discs. So I got two of the long boxes, and it's a nice picture, so I don't mind having it twice. Renaissance, the progressive rock band. I love this. This is one of my favorite album covers of all time. It's from 1972 or 3. I think it was recorded in 72, came out in 3. And it's good old hippie progressive rock, which is playing in the background. I don't know to what extent you can hear it. And I've always loved that cover. I actually have the album, and it might have been better for me to go find the album. And this variation, it's not the same picture on the back, it's a slight variation of it. Kind of this futuristic housing complex, above the sea, for lack of a better term. Very much like what you would see in later Yes albums, but not by Roger Dean, the artist that did those Yes things. This looks really great. I'm glad I put this on vinyl just for the sake of the album cover. Nice 12 by 12 reproduction of that. Really, really cool album cover. So I wanted to save that because I love this album cover so much. The late Richard Bermer, Bhakti Point. This is just real good. You get a lot of mileage on this one. It's not a little square. I just used this whole section here. Really pretty, I thought. Not much on the back is pretty much a listing of everything. Remember these? It was kind of fun going to the, this was, meant to replicate the album cover essentially because the height of these things were very similar to I guess this is about 12 inches, so it's about the height of an album cover. So that, they could initially just put the CDs in the same bins as where the records used to be. But it was fun flipping through these, I gotta admit. Some of you may know this, Wally Bedrow. I think he's South African keyboard player. Word of Mouth, not a bad album. Nice album cover. This is from 80, these are all going to be from the 80s, I guess. Yeah, 89, maybe early 90s. I remember when they announced that the Longboxes were going away, and then it took like another 2 years for them to go away. I kept going to stores. I'm like, when are these going to go? They targeted some date, which they didn't meet, or they gave you the date like 2 years in advance. All of a sudden, they were just gone one day. And I'm really kind of pissed because there's some that I either threw out. I want to show one of my favorite album covers of all time that I don't have on Longbox, and I thought I bought it on Longbox. I showed this in my last videos. Wes Montgomery's Road Song by this great photographer, Pete Turner. And this is from the late 60s, and Pete Turner's still around. Or he was a few years ago. He's got a website that shows you his photos on. I love this. I thought I had this on Longbox. Maybe not. I certainly bought it during the Longbox period, but you also remember they had those clear plastic things that you had to cut to get the CD out instead of the long boxes in some cases. I definitely bought this in that era, and I don't know why I don't have a long box for it. I hope that's not one of the ones that I'm missing that I threw away and didn't mean to. Here's another Wes Montgomery. This is about from 67. This is another Pete Turner photograph, one that I do have, from Down Here on the Ground, which is one of Wes's last albums. It's about 67. This is actually it's a house, but it's reflected in the hood of a car, which I was not sure of. My friend said, I'm pretty sure that is reflected in the hood of a car. And I was having this discussion about what that image is, which you can't see so well here. I'm pretty sure I have the vinyl on this as well. And I actually ended up, right after having that discussion, doing an internet search on Pete Turner, the photographer, found out he had a site, and went to the site, found this image on the site, and decided, he's not going to answer. I'm going to send him an email and see, what's that? Is that a reflection on something? And sure enough, he wrote back, very nice guy, and verified that, yeah, it's the hood of a car. There's a reflection on the hood of a car there, of that house. Very cool. Only got two more. Joe Farrell, Moon Germs. I just love this. The giant eyeball looking over that, I don't know what the hell it is, geometric shapes or something. I like the cover better than I like the album. It's a CTI album. It's a little rough. It's a little rough on the recording sound, actually. I'm a little disappointed in it. But it's a cool-ass album cover, you gotta admit. And The Orb, not a band I'm particularly a fan of. But man, do I love that CD picture. And the funny thing is, despite the fact that this would have come out in the, I guess, early 90s, I had read about them, and this is before you could go on the internet and sample all this crap. So I bought, wanted to find out what this whole techno stuff thing was about, or whatever you want to call this. But I love the album cover. The record's just so-so. I wouldn't recommend it. But I love that album cover. And the funny thing is, it's very, despite the fact that it's probably from the early 90s, maybe late 80s, I want to say I think it's from the early 90s. It has a very early 70s-ish look to that cover. There's really nothing on the back, just the songs. But I love that, there were some albums, strangely enough, not American albums. I used to see this kind of cover art on mostly import albums from Europe, where they try to do this kind of spacey look, but it wasn't the modern kind of thing that you would associate even from the 80s on. This very much looks like something that you would see in the 70s. It's not all bright, and it's not computer chips. It's kind of dark and a lot of brown in there, but very hip. And that's it. That's my showing of my empty boxes. So I thought I'd bring you folks back, those that were around, which is pretty much most of you, I guess, back in the CD Longbox days. Had I been online and making videos 2.5 years ago, I would have had about another 150 or whatever to show you. But anyway, I showed you the ones that I liked, that I kept, and that's it. And so, guys, I'm going to be back. I'm going to do probably shorter videos, only because, I've got some things I'm not expert on. I don't have an exhaustive discography of the people that I'm thinking of doing next. So, you won't have to suffer through 90-minute videos from me for a while, at least. And I'll be back. I'll try not to wait too long before I do another one. I might shoot another one today and put it up in a couple days, whatever. Okay, guys, hope everyone's doing well. And less than 12 minutes is some kind of a record for me. And I'll be back soon. Hope everything's going cool for everybody. And see you later.